Reuters, well-known article publisher, they published a story this week, picked up and amplified by multiple other international and domestic outlets, framing the post-June 30th migration situation as one where migrants are returning home. The framing uses real data. Ghana organized emergency repatriation flights. Nigeria announced plans to repatriate its citizens. Baitbridge processed over 8,200 people in the weeks around June 30th. A Durban repatriation site processed over 9,400 people. These things did happen. They are real and documentable. I can tell you that. But here is what the Reuters framing consistently omits or buries. South Africa has an estimated 2 to 3 million undocumented migrants currently in this country of ours. Even using the most conservative estimates from credible academic and institutional sources. The combined repatriation numbers from all the headline-generating events around June 30th, including the Baitbridge processing, the Durban site, the Ghana flights, the Nigerian announcements, amount to somewhere between 17,000 and 20,000 people in total, against an estimated floor of 2 million undocumented migrants. That is less than 1% of the total population being discussed. The fundamental situation before June 30th and the fundamental situation after June 30th are functionally identical. What's changed? This narrative of migrants going back home, of the pressure campaign producing results, of the situation changing in a meaningful way, that's nonsense. It's not supported by the aggregate data. It's not me pulling the words out of my mouth. It is supported by the specific, visible, headline-friendly events that happen to occur around the deadline, repatriation buses, airport footage, government statements. I could go on and on, while the much larger and much less photogenic reality of millions of people still in South Africa remain unchanged. And here's why this framing matters, by the way, beyond simple accuracy. It's being used politically to validate a campaign that announced 6 months of weekly Thursday marches running through the November municipal elections. Which reminds me, hey, yesterday there were the protests. Did anything happen on your city? Tell me. This Thursday protesting sounds like absolute garbage. If the international and domestic narrative says the pressure is working, that people are really going home, that the June 30th did produce results, then the continuation of that pressure through to November gets framed as building on success, rather than escalating something that achieved marginal results at significant cost, approximately 600 million rand to be precise. One person died, tens of thousands were displaced, communities were terrorized, documented migrants were terrorized and targeted alongside undocumented ones. 600 million rand of public money was spent on a security operation. Those are the full costs of what happened around June 30th. Reuters framing accounts for the repatriation numbers and not much else. I also want to address the USA refugee program dimension specifically because I raised it yesterday and I promised you I would talk about this. And because the misleading coverage is even more persistent in this case. International outlets, you name the brand, they probably say it wrong. CNN, SABC, who else? ENCA, News 24, name them all. Daily Maverick, all of them. They all continue to report one thing. The American Refugee Resettlement Program for South Africans is either exclusively for white South Africans, which misrepresents the updated policy language, or as producing a wave of departures that is changing the demographic situation in South Africa, which the actual settlement numbers do not support. The United States Embassy updated its guidance to state that applicants must be members of a racial minority in South Africa who can demonstrate past or feared future persecution. That update expanded eligibility beyond the original Afrikaner specific framing of Trump's February 2025 executive order. The actual numbers of South Africans resettled through the program from its inception through April 2026 is now approximately 8,000. In a country of 62 million, 8,000 people resettled through a specific US government program. It's not really a demographic event, is it? It's not producing the mass exodus that either the program's supporters hoped for or its critics feared. And yet both the supporters and the critics continue to report it as more consequential than the numbers actually report. Because the critics have a reason to make it sound even worse than it actually is. It's actually a good thing. South Africans of racial minority are leaving because this country is screwing them over through expropriation, through BEE. I could go on and on, but this episode I wanted to only be 30 minutes. South Africa, accurate information about these issues matters because the people most affected by migration policy decisions, both the South Africans who are genuinely economically pressured and the migrants who are living in increasingly hostile conditions, deserve a public conversation that is grounded in what is actually happening, rather than the narratives that various political actors need to construct ahead of November elections. But that's it from me. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video. By the way, hit that like button as hard as you possibly can. Marinate that comment section and tell me what you think from any of these stories you've heard today. Let's talk. Till then, I'll see you next time.